on, you have no idea. You have no idea because I just want, I really would like, and I don't know it, so that's why I'm doubly excited. Why did you start Dogs Naturally magazine? What came to, because it's not a magazine. I mean, start this off. This is not just a magazine. This is a whole massive hub, right? It's everything in there. So you can find out where to source the stuff. You can get taught. In fact, somebody called Lucy Killick, a friend of mine, she did your Naturally raw dog food course, and she enjoyed it and she really liked it and wanted to give some feedback. And she said she messaged you, or she emailed you, and she didn't expect anything. She said you actually replied to her. She could not believe it. She went, "Oh my God, she only replied to me."
It gets harder and harder, that's for sure. But we try.
Yeah. So what started you? What put you on that journey? What was the light bulb moment?
Oh boy. It's actually a very long and sordid history. Basically, you know, it was a belief that if natural rearing was more accessible and was in mainstream media, then wouldn't that be great? Because it seemed that 8 years ago, we were all kind of fighting our own battles in the same place. And I still see that happening to some extent. Yeah. And sorry, sometimes I just have to take a breath here. I still see it happening, like, to some extent, but we really wanted to be the hub. So we wanted to connect the community and take all of these dog owners who really wanted to learn better ways to deal with their dog's health issues, and put them in front of the best holistic vets and the best holistic products as well. So that's our goal, and that's why we're a lot more than a magazine today. And you know, our mission now is to change the lives of 100,000 dogs a year.
Yeah, I think you're on track. I think you're doing all right. So what was the toughest? I want to know, what in the very beginning, what was the toughest thing? Was it the vets? Was it the people? Who were the most difficult to deal with?
You know, the vets are frustrating. The vets are super frustrating. You know, as an example, wow. Okay. Let's be fully transparent here. The one thing that I've said a lot is that, for example, when the AMA and like AHA did their vaccine task force,
yeah,
Dr. Richard Ford was on that task force, and when they decided, hey, let's make the revaccination schedule every 3 years, Richard Ford says that was just a completely random number. It wasn't based on any science. It was just, hey, we're vaccinating yearly today. How does 3 years sound to everybody? Yeah, sounds good. And it was just, that's completely the way they came up with that number. So
yeah,
he emailed me one day and he says, you know, you're taking that out of context. And I said, what on earth do you mean I'm taking that out of context? There's no way it could be out of context. It seems to me that nobody wants to take a stand because they're all so worried about, they're just worried.
It's about taking responsibility, isn't it? Nobody wants to. Yeah, great. I get that. They don't, do they? It's like, if I take responsibility, I said it, it's on my shoulders, But it's the fear, isn't it, of pulling out the hat 3 years? That's just, to me, it's just bollocks. You know, it's just rubbish.
No, it was completely arbitrary. You know, and I actually had a vet. She literally emailed me once and she said, you know, congratulations, vaccines put food on the table for my family, and look what you've done. And I was like, really? You really? That should be your first concern. Congratulations. So on the whole, there's been a whole lot of vets who have approached me and have been very, very positive. You know, everybody has to graduate at the bottom of their class, and I think when we're in people's faces and we're really calling them out, I think for everybody, our first instinct is just to get defensive about it. And I'm just hoping that eventually they'll come around and say, yeah, what we're doing is wrong.
Yeah, because, you know, we're talking about animals' lives, people's lives, and money. because this is what it comes down to. They are petrified that their income will go if they don't sell the crappy food and they don't over-vaccinate.
Well, but at the end, like, honestly, I think at the end of the day, they just don't know. When I get feedback from vets, they'll say, you know, oh, show me the research. I'm like, here you go. Here's reams of it. Now what's your problem? Now, why are you continuing to vaccinate annually or even triannually? And the way I look at it is, I would much rather deal with a vet who said, yeah, I vaccinate every year. I know it's not good for the dog, but I do it because I think, you know, yearly exams are important, which they're not. So I can respect that. What I can't respect is vets that do it out of ignorance. If they're doing it out of greed, that you need at least to know what you're dealing with. If they're doing it out of ignorance, then they're charlatans because we're paying them to be experts.
Yeah.
And for a medical procedure that they do multiple times every single day, they owe it to us to know a lot more about that medical procedure than they currently do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It's an invasive procedure. It's going into the body. You know, in the Veterinary Act of the Royal Veterinary College here in the UK of 1962, I cannot be classed as a nutritionist here, or it doesn't matter how much I've studied, what I've done, we just can't be, because we're putting something into the body. So I am totally open about this. When people say to me, oh, you're a nutritionist, and I say, well, technically, no, not really, because we can't be. And I'm totally honest about it. But the point is at least I'm open about the fact that I can't be called this and the reasons why. That when we have situations where we've got, I'm not a vet basher. My vet myself, we've been with her 11 years, and she came to the vets up the road where I was, and she was green, and I've been with her ever since, because the reason is because I can ask her to do certain things that I want her to do. It's actually easier than having a holistic vet. So it works better for me. So, and you know, I've got 18 dogs here, and they're all chihuahuas, and they've all been titered, all different levels of, had some boosters, so all sorts of different things. Not one of them needs to ever be vaccinated again, ever. And so I said to her, how does that make you feel? Because forget about all the studies you can get. Maya, you took these tests yourself, you took the bloods, you did all the things yourself. How does that make you feel? But unfortunately, because she works for a you know, a series of vets, I can't remember what they're called, you know, a load of vets. Yeah. So, and she has to do that. She has to, we have people in there with the signs up, you know, £45 a month, whatever, for your worming, for your flea, for your food, and that's what they pay. It's like, do we want our pets to be trouble free? Are we having them so that they don't cause us any trouble? Why do we have them then? They're a pain in the ass. They throw up sometimes, and they shed hair, and they smell, and they fart, and you know, it's life. It's live. You know, I don't get this convenience thing all the time. Don't have a pet then.
You know? No, I don't know if it's convenience, but I think it's fear. I think conventional medicine is based on fear-based decisions and what's the worst case scenario, whereas holistic medicine is built on just moving towards something. Conventional medicine is just moving away from something, consequences be damned, and holistic medicine is moving towards something. Yeah,
absolutely. We had a situation last year. I did a talk, and there were some vets and veterinary students there, and they were saying to me, and I said, we were talking about nutrition, put their hands up, because I like to bring everybody round to the cooker and I say, this is what we're going to make, and you know, get your hands in there, you know, all doing it. And one of the interesting things were when you started having that conversation, and I said, you know, how much training did you get in nutrition? How much do you know about the vaccines? How much? It's so, if you think about the vast amount of knowledge that they have to have as surgeons, veterinary surgeons, it's crazy. How are they expected to know that? So really, there's got to be much more specialised branches of this, haven't there? I wanted to ask you. Go on.
No, go ahead. You're on the roll.
I was going to ask you. So you've got your breed of choice is Labradors, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
How many have you got at the moment?
I have 6 right now.
Oh, oh, they're lovely. Well, I grew up with labs, not the blonde ones, not the chocky ones. And so I want to ask you, what made you decide Labradors? Did you have dogs as a kid,
Yeah,
as a child?
we always had dogs as a kid.
Yeah,
Growing up, we had miniature schnauzer, an American Eskimo that my parents literally bought from a prostitute, and and just some mixed breed dogs and like a pug, right? But um, yeah, You know what, Labradors, because they suit my lifestyle. They don't need. They're a very stoic breed. They don't have a lot of care needs. I like to trail run a lot, and I can take them on the trails with me. They don't pick up birds. They don't pick up stuff, and
yeah,
they're just pretty affable and nice to have around.
yeah. It works for you, and they're very, very loving, very loyal dogs, aren't they? I
They
think
are,
so.
yeah. Not quite
Yeah.
as much as Goldens because they have a little bit more mind of their own, but
No, they're not. No,
very
especially
much.
yeah. I do think. Yeah, I do think. Yeah, they are not as not as soppy as a golden. No, not saying all your dogs are soppy. Don't get on to me now. We've got what somebody's saying. She's
No.
saying. Um, Lindsay Follett is saying she's a Labrador lover as well. People are saying hello to you and hi. So how are things going to change in the future? Do you think where like the magazine and like you being a hub and everything, you're offering so much. You're offering great content in the magazine. It's digital, you can get it. You can, get it at your home. It's worldwide. We can buy the things that we see that you're talking about, because I think that's one of the big crossovers, and that's the frustration. A good few years ago when I was doing this, and I would say, oh, I want you to get, like colloidal silver or something or the other, or and people couldn't get it. And I think as well, it's also that myth busting, like what you did your mushroom myth busting one the other day, about the mycelium and stuff, and people going, oh my god. And it doesn't matter how many times say like I say it or somebody else would say it, because I think that's what's happening. And I think this is what's really important, because you've built such an audience and you've got such traction, you become a voice where you want to go to find out the information. So what can you do with that voice in the future? Where's it going to go? That's what I'm interested in.
Oh, the future.
Just a dream. Just tell me, what you think.
I genuinely think we're living the dream now. Honestly, we don't really have any big devious world domination plans aside from what we're just doing right now, which is just, honestly, our plan is to just put out as much good, reliable content as possible, get as much written by holistic vets as possible, and just find areas to, just to be there for where pet owners are in their journey, just to help them and along their journey wherever they are. Like, not really any big plans. There's just so much going on just to keep things afloat right now. We are in hyper growth mode, and we're in hyper growth mode, and it's just everything we can do to just hire quickly enough and stay above water. It really is. It's very exciting time.
That makes it challenging in its own way as a business owner, doesn't it? Because you want to keep the same integrity, the same love as a family and the staff. And as you expand, it can happen so quickly. It's hard, isn't it, to keep that momentum? It must be, because and also you do the Royal Roundup, which is a online seminar, isn't it?
Yep.
And then you do a couple of years now. You've done the one. Is it in Chicago or somewhere? You do the live.
Yeah, the Raw Natural Dog Summit. We love that.
That's
I actually fly the entire team there for that. So every single Dogs Nasty employee is there. It's just a really, really great way for us to connect with the people who we're trying to help. We love
I've had brilliant
our
feedback
NDS.
about
It's just a whole lot of fun.
Said it.
Oh, wait a minute. No, we do have something coming up in the future. And I'll tell you, because, everybody said, where can we get your products? Where can you get your products? Where can we get like these products? So we said, fine, let's just do an e-com store. So we did. And what's been frustrating to us is My goal is to reach as many dog owners as possible, and to do that, I've really become a heck of a marketing expert. That's really where I spend a lot of my time and effort, is to figure out how to be the best marketer.
With you just on the marketing bit, Dana. I'd like to spend 24 hours with you. Just your marketing brain. Because I'm a bit of a marketing brain. I'd like to spend 24 hours or 48 just on that bit with you. But go on, yeah.
Well, it's funny you should mention that, because you asked about plans for the future, and this is my horse fault addled brain. There's something that we're really excited about right now, and the one thing that we want to do, that because we've discovered this working with a lot of the vendors, is that for the most part in the pet industry, people get into this because they love dogs and they have a phenomenal product. And trust me when I tell you, they are the worst business owners imaginable. They're terrible marketers, terrible business owners, because that's not their thing. So the one thing that we really want to do is help people who are in the pet industry become much better.
Brilliant. This is brilliant.
Yeah, because that's how we get world domination. And, the team that comes to work with us, our marketing team, there's 16 people on the marketing team now. And they have to go through a 3-month internship where we've got certification courses for them and checklists and all that stuff that they have to go through before they can touch any of our stuff. And we've got such a really rich pool of information. We're trying to figure out how we can share it with everyone else who wants to get into the pet industry or already is, so that we can do a much better job of tackling the Purinas and the Royal Canines of the world.
Honestly, I think that is going to be huge, because I've set up something called with other board members. I'm not the only person. Called it's FFS. Fresh Feeding Society, and it's just for UK manufacturers and products and shops and people who want to, and just stockists, because we've got something called the PFMA, which is just for the manufacturers, and something just for the shops, and we wanted to marry them together so that they don't have to spend a fortune. Some of these little companies cannot afford to go to a show to show their products and all the rest of it, so this is like a quick way of doing it. But I've got to say, and if any of you are watching, I'm sorry, but I can see it. I look on their pages, on the Facebook pages, and I do what I do, but I get asked so much, could you make me a video? Can you run my page? Could you do this? Because it's really lacking, because that's not their thing. It's like asking an artist to be a business person, and that to have a package where you could actually come in and go, well, I'm going to go on that package and this is going to help me put my bit, and they don't have to worry about it. It's like someone doing your books. Your accountant. But this part of it falls down, because it really does get let down. They don't answer people on their pages. They don't get the business. It is a really big deal.
The smartest thing I did as a business owner was make myself an expert in marketing and not trust an outside agency to do it. There was no way I was going to give over our brand and our voice to an outside company. I think it's a terrible mistake to do that. For people.
Absolutely. So what about the courses? Are you going to start offering more courses, do you think, or is it going to stay as it is? Because is it about 4 or 5 courses you're doing
now? As a matter of fact, the advanced nutrition course, which
now,
was 2 years in the making. 2 years in the making. That is getting launched next week with Raw Roundup. Yay!
What is that? Say again. Sorry, I was talking. Say that again.
What's that?
What is coming out that took 2 years? What this one?
The advanced canine nutrition course. That one was really hard to write. So I think for anybody to understand nutrition, you have to understand what happens to fats, proteins, carbohydrates, how they get broken down into their little bitty parts, how they're used as fuel in the cells, and how they drive other activities in the body. The role that vitamins play in that, the role that minerals play in that, and the role that nutrition plays in the immune system, as well as inflammation, cancer, and it's just and of course the microbiome.
Yeah.
So we're really, really excited about that one.
That sounds like
Mostly excited because we don't have to write it anymore because it was a monster.
I bet. Well, do you know what? The amount of people that have said to me, "Oh, you should write a course. You should do that." I'm just like going, "No." Or people that say to me, "You should bring out your own raw food." I'm like, "No, you're all right. I'm all right doing what I do." Thanks. As it seems like a
So
bloody
much work.
Yeah, I
No,
bet.
so much work.
If you were going to give somebody who is just about to get a puppy, or so they're getting like a 12-week-old puppy, they've rescued a 12-week-old puppy or something, or a 6-month-old, what would you say? What were the things? Because people say to me, you know, first of all, they're panicking. We've just had a conversation today about spaying and neutering. That's obviously a biggie always. We talked about pyometra, talked about dogs having heart murmurs, talked about stump pyometra. Would you say, what are the 5 top tips, if, just off the top of your head, if you had to say, these are things I'd start today, if you just got a new to you dog, what would you do?
I would go, like, honestly, and I'm not going to be popular for this position. I would go further back than that, and I would say support a natural rearing breeder, because you know you're going to spend the next hopefully 15 or 16 years with that puppy, and if you can get that puppy off to the right start, that's great. Rescue is great too, but you just have to understand. I think a lot of people with rescues are going, that's okay. Like the dog might have some emotional and behavioral baggage, and I'm prepared to deal with it. The point that I want to make is you also have to be ready to deal with the health baggage, with the immune system baggage that goes along with it. So, you know, once you've settled on whatever puppy you love and want to live with, I think even more important than raw feeding is to just not vaccinate, honestly. Just don't do it. One vaccine has the ability to kill your dog, so you better have a darn good reason to do it. Even like personally, I don't do the puppy series. I just don't. You know, and if you have to, do it smartly. The distemper vaccine is so freaking effective that you could take a puppy, put it in a pen full of raccoons, you know, just infected with distemper, take that puppy out and wait for 2 days and then vaccinate them for distemper, and it would still protect the puppy. It's just crazy how effective the distemper vaccine is. Given that, why on earth do we repeat it ever? It just makes no sense to repeat that vaccine.
No, I got a lot of pressure when go on, say, over to you.
So that would be number 1 for me. We definitely have a delay. It's the overseas delay. So definitely, like, vaccines, just cut it out. Just don't do them anymore. And ideally, get a puppy that has been vaccinated at all. You will love the results. Second is get them onto a raw diet. You cannot build health with kibble. You just, you know, and there's nothing magical about raw. Everybody goes, oh, what's so magical about raw? And it's like, absolutely nothing. The only thing that's great about raw is that it doesn't have the massive amounts of starch that any other commercial diet will have. And then what happens with that starch, for those of you who are familiar with, you know, with gut health and the microbiome, starch feeds populations of bacteria that produce toxic byproducts. So the little bacteria that live in your dog's gut, they eat what he eats. And if you feed your dog unnatural foods, and you're going to grow the probiotics that the bacteria that really shouldn't be living in his gut. And they'll actually start competing with the beneficial bacteria for attachment sites and nutrients. And they poop out the byproducts that start to circulate all throughout your dog's body and cause immune distress.
Get into the bloodstream. They're everywhere.
So that's why raw is, just because it doesn't have all of that starch. It's the biggest difference between raw and commercial diets. Second is, I would never give a heartworm med to my. Third is, I would never deworm my dog ever. The exception would be if I had a puppy that was just absolutely devastated by parasites and was completely anemic. Yeah, go ahead and deworm that puppy. Any other puppy probably doesn't need to be dewormed, especially prophylactically. And you know what? It's that dead easy that I don't even think there's a number 5. Number 5 would just be lots of sunshine, love, and exercise. Honestly.
Yeah. So go on then, tell me, what do you do about, because the biggest one I get, and especially from the States, is not that you're in the States or in Canada, but I'm saying from the US, is that when it turns, the weather gets slightly warmer, it's like flea and tick mayhem. What do you do for yours, for fleas and ticks, to prevent them? Nothing. You just don't get them. Yeah.
No, I've already done my homework. So I've already refrained from the vaccinations. I'm feeding my dogs a proper diet. I'm fueling their immune system. I have the coolest video of white blood cells and macrophages in the immune system engulfing parasites, like intestinal parasites that get through. It's absolutely amazing. What the immune system is there for parasites, IgE antibodies. Their job is to fight parasites.
Yeah.
So all you need is a functional immune system. If your dog has parasite problem, you have an immune system problem.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I agree. People ask me this question all the time, and they say, well, what do? You can't stop them. And I say, well, we don't really get that sort of thing. And you know, people say to me, how often are you doing your worm count? Because we have this thing over here, worm count, and you send it off to the lab and they look at the poo. And I go, well, I don't really do it. And they go, why? I go, because they don't get them. And that's it. Even my little old girl is this big, you know. I think this is what I keep going back to. I think it's about it being a lifestyle choice, and that's kind of what I was saying about the convenience thing. I think having an animal living with you, they kind of have to fit in with you to a certain extent, but it is a lifestyle choice of, you're going to eat a fresh food diet like we eat, and when I'm not going to panic about putting it on my spreadsheet every 5 minutes looking at, you know, how much copper you've had this week or whatever. There's got to be some knowledge of what you're doing, but you know, we just overegg the pudding and we put people off all the time. I think, you know, freak them out.
My Alice. Yeah, my Alice, she was a stud fee puppy. She was my Aaron's daughter, and I said I don't want a stud puppy from that litter. So Alice came to me, and she was loaded worms, as was her brother, who went to a friend of mine. And my breeder friend called me up. She says, what are you going to do about it? And I said, nothing. I'm just going to let her grow up. Her immune system will mature. And I haven't seen a tapeworm segment out. I saw one tapeworm segment out of her after that, and that was when we moved from British Columbia to Ontario. And I think just the stress of the move, saw a little segment come out. And that, I think we operate under the dog's intestine is supposed to be a sterile environment. Everything that we want right now is sterile, because we're so afraid of germs. And what we're forgetting is that people who have intestinal parasites are actually much less likely to have allergies and immune diseases. So not only are we supposed to have bacteria in our digestive tracts, but there's an argument that says we're supposed to have some amount of intestinal worms as well.
Yeah, I think that as well. And I think it's all about balancing the immune system and giving you the equipment to fight what you need to fight and to harbour what you need to harbour. You know, it's a bit like when we talk about, you know, bacteria all the time. You know, there's some good ones and there's some bad ones. It just depends how much of a build up of the bad you get and how you react to it. You know, that's why occasionally we get sick, or you get those people that say, you know, I mean, I've got friends that constantly got colds and coughs. So they've always got colds and coughs, or this and that and the other. But I'm one of those who just doesn't really get it. I just keep I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I'm just saying I just don't. Sometimes I wish I would, so I could just go, oh, I'm really ill, I could just stay at home. But you know, it's that kind of thing, and I think the same with my lot. You know, they are a community that live here together, and you know, I mean, I get into trouble because people say they eat on the same day because they all eat together. And I haven't got separate bowls, but then they don't argue about it. It's just how they are. I don't have, you know, they're little chihuahuas. They've got long plates that they feed on, and little Chicholina, who's quite old, she eats on her own. But apart from that, they're all in together, and it's not a big frenzy. They're quite calm, and it's just it's all.
You clearly don't have Labrador.
No, absolutely. And if I did, it would be a completely different thing, and I couldn't have 18. That would be just greedy. No, you can't do that, exactly. But they are little, and I can do that, and they're not like having a big, you know, trying to steer, you know, having a big fight. And that, you know, they're proper. They don't wear dresses. They go out in the mud like normal dogs. You know, I'm far too lazy a person to do the dresses thing.
Yeah. That's way too much effort.
No, that's just like, wow. I mean, I've got 2 long coats, and that's just like, that's enough. That's all that brushing. I can't cope with all that. That's too much. But, you know, if you had to, I don't really brush them either because they don't really need it, you know.
Yeah.
So, well, look, I think I've taken up enough of your time, and I hope you feel a bit better. And you had a bit of a...
Thank you.
A slight accident, maybe. It's like... thing. So look, thank you for turning up and coming on and being so patient with me. I hope I haven't scared you off, and maybe you could come back another day. It's been a dream of mine to have you on, Dana. You have no idea. I've been telling everybody she's coming on, I can talk to her. I think the business side of things is brilliant. I think that's going to be to help people. I just can't tell you how much I think that's a great idea. You know, I think someone's asking my question. My Belgian Malinois wears a zebra. Oh, somebody's wearing something. Hang on. Thank you. This was brilliant. Thank you, ladies. Thank you. Oh, loads of love and all that good stuff. So look, thank you so much. And hopefully, maybe in a few months' time, if you fancy it, I'd love it if you come back and we'll pick a proper topic to talk about. But I just wanted to talk to you about everything. I've got so many questions. I better shut up. Thank you so much.
It's amazing. And maybe we'll see you at our NDS this year. It'd be great to connect with you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll chat to you off, and thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.